Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the FeMillionaire CODE Podcast. I am your host, Steph, and Sam, my partner, my sister, my friend. We're here to take you through our story, through our journey from the beginning. And thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Sam. We are about to get naked and run through the streets, Steph,
Okay.
because because we are going to tell the bare bones story of what we've been through and where we are right now. And hopefully, if people can relate to it, which I'm sure they will, they're going to join us because our intention is to talk about our journey in each of the episodes that we record, right?
Right. Because this is about more than success. It's about survival and soul and the strength it takes to show up anyway. Because
Yeah,
you're not here because you want another strategy. We are not here because we want another strategy. We're here because we're still standing and we want more than scraps. We're fucking done taking scraps.
yeah. And also, I think like it's really wonderful to look up to people. You know, we've all got our gurus that we follow and people that we admire, but they've already arrived at the place that we all want to be.
Right.
So this is going to document not our arrival, but you know, us boarding the train and leaving the station because we haven't got anywhere yet.
Right. Right. Because even though we've had so much success in other businesses, you have a seven-figure business in Australia. I have had six-figure real estate business in the US. And we built a business together with a third partner and 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 went through ups and downs and roller coasters and twists and turns to find ourselves at ground zero again with
Mm,
something new.
yeah. And I feel like I have been, I've been NASA. I've had so many takeoffs and have not burst through the first layer of the atmosphere. Done that quite a few times. And it's not an
Yeah.
easy thing to say when you are trying to position yourself as somebody who knows something about business that can help other people do it. But the truth is that most of our gurus have those stories.
They do. They absolutely do. And so few of them share those
Mm,
stories from the before time
yeah.
when they were at ground zero and getting ready to launch. And a lot of them talk about my first launch this, my first launch that, but not very many of them show you what that looked like or how the path leading up to that, how many fucking Y's and crisscrosses there were in
Mm,
that path to choose from before they got to a launch that was actually successful.
yes. And here's the thing that I really detest about how that system works is that when they finally do have something that's working, they then peddle that as this is the only way because I tried all the other ways and they didn't work. This is the only way. That's the first myth that we want to wipe off the table, right? Is that there isn't one way. Because if there was only one way, all the gurus would be telling you exactly the same thing. But
The
there's
same
not, because
thing.
there's gurus in all different things. You know, one guru
Mhm.
will tell you paid ads is the only way to grow. The next one will tell you don't do paid ads. You can do it organically and get to seven figures. It is
Mhm.
so confusing for people. So
Mhm.
confusing. And to make it worse, because we all want this so badly, we all want it. What makes it worse is that we spend a heap of money and, like, God forbid, I hate to think about how much I have invested in programs from people that I really admire. You know, like I love the message, I love what they're selling. I get into their programs and it's just this one way. And there are things that I'm just not willing to do. It
Hmm.
just, some of these methods feel so out of alignment with who I am and what I want to put out in the world. So I crash and burn in their program.
Right.
And
Right.
one of the hot topics that we've had discussions about in how we're going to get this new business off the ground is DMs. And I want to start there today, Steph. Let's have that DM
Okay.
conversation because we know selling is about relationships. We know that.
Hmm.
But I have been very public in how much I hate getting DMs from people. People, like Facebook is a sea of connections. It is not, I have 5,000 really close friends that I'm in contact with all the time. That is not the reality on Facebook at all.
Right.
So the fact that people friend me and then DM me and straight away it's a pitch, you know, and I've been around a little while. I recognize the pictures in all
Yeah.
their beautiful shapes, colors, forms, but I know a
Right.
pitch when I see one. And I hate it because, especially the ones that, like, oh, I see you're in the coaching industry, I can get you more clients, blah, blah, blah. They have no clue if I even have the problem of needing clients.
Right. They have no idea what your problem may or may not be.
And honestly, anybody that has any kind of conversation with me knows I am not looking for one-on-one clients, right?
Hmm.
So the fact that people keep contacting me saying, I can help you get more one-on-one clients, you're a coach. You know nothing about me, and straight away it gets my back up. Because I'm like, that is not how to build a relationship with somebody. So my apologies to anybody that DMs me because they're genuine, because I rarely get onto Messenger
No,
because
you don't.
it is a sea of muck. It is message after message of basically cold calling me via Messenger. So the fact that a lot of people peddle you have to DM people, and I cannot get on board with it. I just can't.
And we have this conversation, you and I have this conversation often enough that we know this about one another because I think, oh, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try it because like we were just talking about, I'm posting about it, but are the algorithm gremlins keeping me in the dark from people
Mhm.
who would be happy to see what I'm posting? Probably. So if I'm personally inviting them to take a look at it, then I'm not hidden by the algorithm gremlins. However, I'm with you. Don't DM me. I haven't heard from you in a fucking year, and now you're DMing me asking me to look at something that you're doing. That I agree with you. And we know relationship building in sales. We know this in business. And so, but we've been in the lab building this business, and our business before this, we spent 3 years in the lab building that, 2.5 years in the lab building that. So we aren't cultivating the relationships the way that we have before or could be
Mm.
or should be. Let's not should on ourselves. But we haven't been. I haven't been because we've been with our head down building these businesses because we want to make an impact. We want women to be successful. We want to be successful in this path. We've had successes in many other paths, but we've also been broken down and we've had to rebuild. And we're in that space of, okay, now we've rebuilt. Let's grow. Now, what do we do? Because we haven't been cultivating any relationships for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
look,
and not wanting to do the paid ad road because it requires so much to get started.
it does. It does. There are
Again, algorithms.
algorithms. Yeah. And I think too, it's I've had a few collaborations in the past few years, and I haven't I haven't fallen out with anybody I've collaborated with, but people make decisions about what's best for their lives, or they decide to go in different directions. So I feel like I've got that hesitation around speaking about yet another thing that I'm doing because I've pivoted again.
Yeah.
What's I've had people contact me like when I've been networking and people that know me and they're not sure what I do.
Same. So same.
So I'm swimming in this sea of I've totally confused people with
hmm
rebrands and new collaborations and oh boy. So I feel like I'm sitting in a space I've made this quite hard.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, we'll find out.
That's what it feels like.
This is what it feels like. It feels hard. It's a little bit embarrassing to say, oh, here's another one. Here's another one, guys. Get
Yes.
on this one.
Yes. hmm I feel that so deeply, and because I still have people who I know, if I haven't talked to them for a while, ask me about real estate.
Mm,
Now, I did real estate for almost 8 years, 7 years, I guess. And when I headed into my eighth year, which is this year, I decided not to continue down that path. Lots of reasons behind that, but the biggest one being us building this business, this digital sisters code experience, which we have various levels of the code experience and the FeMillionaire code and the next move, and we have these things that we know are brilliant, that we know are going to make an impact and are valuable and are going to help women in business and in life and just create FeMillionaires because damn it, we can't fix the messy without the money. And the best way for us to make money is to have a fucking business. I was just having coffee with one of my girlfriends this week, and she's in between jobs right now, and she's applying for jobs like crazy. And I sat across the table from her and I said, friend, what can you do? What are you passionate about? What lights you up that you can put a course out into the world and make some fucking money so that you are not going back to work for another company, another corporation, another organization, and you get to decide how much time and effort you put into it because you want to make $5,000 or you want to make $30,000 a month. You get to decide and then you get to put in the effort. We know this. And it's still in that space of what the fuck are we doing? Where are the women? How do we we're the honey? We're the bees. Where do we need to set our honeycomb to bring these bees in?
it's the age-old question of marketing, isn't it?
Mm, hmm Yeah.
Marketing is so important, but it is so, oh, even now I'm checking myself. We love our mindset stuff, and here I am thinking, I'm going to say marketing is hard, but I'm like, no, I've got to watch my language because if I'm saying that out loud,
Then it's gonna be.
that's what I'm going to internalize, right? We know that about
Right.
mindset.
We do. And that's the other thing too. Like we spend so much time learning, researching, studying mindset, human design, emotional intelligence, NLP, the psychology, buying psychology, the buyer's journey. Like we know words. Listen, if anybody knows me, they know how important words are to me and that I make sure everybody else around me gets enlightened in that way because exactly like you just said, I'm saying this shit out loud. That's what I'm making it to be. That's the narrative that I'm bringing into reality. No, no, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is bringing in marketing that is comes with ease and flow and attracting women into our world and into our sisterverse because fucking A, who doesn't love a sisterverse? That is Sam's brilliance on display, everybody. bringing women into the sisterverse where we uplift and we empower and we collaborate and we connect and get clarity. And listen, I want to talk about this because one of the things I think that has become so clear and so important for us in the last couple of weeks is when you were digging into your human design and realized that you were going against or you were shoulding all over yourself, going against the design. And once you were able to reframe that, you were able to shift some feelings. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yes. So I had it in my head that to be really successful, I needed something that was brand new, a totally original concept. Now, goodness me, when we look at anything, and I'll take music as an example, originality is limited by the number of keys on a keyboard, by the number of strings on a guitar, right? There is a certain amount of repetitiveness that we see come through in music these days, like that, there's a set of chords that people will use in 10 different ways, but it's still the same group of chords, right? So my thought process was that I'm not going to be really successful until I can be original. And original to
Mhm.
me meant something that nobody else had ever come up with. That is the highest bar you could ever set for yourself. And I was punishing myself because I was sitting there and I was like, oh, all I've done is kind of pick up what that person did and just put my spin on it. But I didn't come up with the original idea. So therefore, it can't be that great, right? I can't be that good that I can't think of something on my own. That's the world I was living in.
Mhm.
Along comes human design. And what I learn about myself is that I'm not designed to be the one that comes up with the original idea. But what I am really good at is the one thing I was doing all along was picking up someone else's idea, twisting it and turning it and making it 10 times better.
For
What
you,
a,
or us in this
yeah.
case.
But what a relief to find out that piece of information, how freeing that is.
Mhm.
I'm not designed to be the idea originator. I'm not designed to be the manifester.
Oh, right. Okay. So Sam is a generator. I am a manifesting generator, and I had this same kind of epiphany maybe 2 or 3 weeks before Sam, where I would start building a piece of our website and or like a landing page or whatever the hell. I'm building a site, one of the pages on our website, and then Sam would go behind me and do this other thing with it. And I'm like, why the fuck am I spending time doing this when Sam is going to come in and make it so much better? Why do you even need mine to begin with? And again, along comes human design. That's my job. That's my
Yes,
genius. I am the one who sparks it, gets an iteration or two going, and then Sam comes in and is like, "Here, let me make this gorgeous. Let me make this more effective. Let me make this more efficient." And we work so well together, but we were both living in that space of I'm doing it wrong. Why am I putting time in? I'm wasting time. This isn't what I should be doing.
yeah,
When in reality, that's exactly what we should be doing.
mm,
So
yes,
thank you, human design.
yes, yeah. Because I've always been really proud of the fact that, you know, I can do this so easily for my clients of like, bring me what you've got, bring me your mess, and my brain looks at the mess and unscrambles it. Have you watched The Queen's Gambit?
No,
Oh, you haven't? Oh my
no.
God, Steph, you have to watch it. Freaking love
Okay.
that show. I've watched the series a few times. Anyway,
Okay.
the way her brain works, and look, disclaimer here, right? She's popping pills to do this. I'm not popping pills to do it. But the crux of it is that she pops a pill and then she lays there and then her mind on the ceiling she envisages the chessboard and how all the chess pieces need to move in all the different combinations. That's how she sees chess, and that's how she wins. So I feel like without the pill, that's how I see business. That's how my brain works. And it's literally it's a picture in my head of that piece just needs to move over there a little bit. And you need a little bit of color over here. And no, that's upside down, flip it the other way. So that's my brain works like that. But you can't give me a blank canvas.
Right. I'm laughing not because it's funny exactly, but because the truth of that and how we uncovered it and the way that things happen, where again, I'd be building something or creating something and I'd be like, why the fuck am I spending my time doing this? Because Sam's gonna go make it better. And like, so clearly Sam is better at this than I am. That's what my brain was telling me. Clearly Sam is better at this than I am. So why am I bothering putting any time and effort into this? And we worked like this for 3 years before we brought human design into our world and realized, oh, holy fuck, we are meant to work this way.
Yes. But
And
this
like
is
you said, what a relief.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, because we're punishing ourselves because you're sitting
Yes.
there in a space of feeling less than all the
Yes.
time. And I'm
Yes.
sitting there in a space of feeling less than because I can't come up with this shit. And you're sitting there going, my ideas obviously aren't good enough for Sam. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Listen, everybody, I cannot tell you hundreds of times that I had that thought of, and my, that's, imposter speaking syndrome, or the imposter syndrome speaking of like, my shit's not good enough for Sam. Sam's gonna go and change it anyway, so why am I fucking doing it? And not knowing that you needed an already painted canvas to get the painting 10 times
Yeah,
better. So
yeah.
for like there were so many moments in our last few years where I felt that way. And because we didn't have any idea and we communicate pretty fucking well. And it still wasn't because we didn't know enough about human design yet to
Mm,
understand these pieces. Now, okay, so one of the things that we absolutely incorporate into our world, Sisterverse, Digital Sisters, all of the programs that we have is human design
mm,
because this has made such a big difference for us. And not just the business piece of it, which helps, but understanding and feeling more successful. Because let's be real honest, and that is what we do here. When you feel like shit, it shows
yeah.
in what you're creating, in how you're communicating, in anything you are or are not attracting into your world, whether it's business or life, because your energy shows, right? And so when we uncovered this human design piece of the puzzle, and then to be able to have these conversations about, oh, it actually is supposed to be this way. How fortunate are we that we work that way? It really like flipped a switch, and then we get to show up with each other stronger, more confident, feeling more powerful. And then what we're creating shows that on the other side.
Mm. Yes. And what we've created has been, let's look at our exit. We love our zones of genius too. And
Mhm.
what we've done is we've looked back at all of the body of work that we've done, all the iterations, all the programs, all the coaching that we've done. We've picked up the best pieces of all of it to create
Mhm.
what we're delivering now, what we've got
Mhm.
on offer. It is the best of the best that we have done.
Absolutely.
And I think
And years in the making.
years in the making. Because if you are not learning from your failures, what are you doing?
Right.
Failing on
And
repeat with no growth?
which, okay, so and we have a love-hate with the word failure, don't we?
We
Because
do.
we talk about this all the time. You and I have said countless times. Fail forward, fail faster, get on to the next. Let's move on. Let's get it moving, keep it moving, because the sooner we get to that, like the faster we fail, the faster we'll succeed.
Yeah.
And then we realized it's really not a failure, it's an iteration. And we're reiterating pieces of our businesses, of ourselves, to get it out of the way faster so that we can find success faster instead of swimming in that iteration. I'm trying, like, certainly there are some things that are failures, but we've used that word in such a way that it is like it's such like a knife in your back. Twist that knife one more time because you fucking failed again. Instead of I iterated again. This iteration is not exactly what I want it to be. So let me reiterate with what I've learned and make it better.
Mm.
And that's where we are right now. And I think, like, I don't think, I know this is where a lot of our frustration is coming from right now in this space of this is what we have on offer, this is what we have to deliver. Where are you? Where are you, women who need this and will benefit from this? And because it's so powerful and because it's such, oh, I was going to say game changer. How interesting is that? When I've over here been like, we need to change it, like, play it smart, change the game. We're literally fucking changing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we've done.
Because because we have been working with women for years now, and
Mhm.
we know the bits that they need. And this is the tricky part because we're playing in this world, this marketing world of one trick ponies, you know, this is a slam dunk if you just do exactly what I do, and to bring it back around to where we started is that we're trying to compete against people with big budgets, with big messages promising to solve this one problem, trying to make people believe that if you just fix one thing, everything else falls in line. That is the biggest lie that you could ever believe. The biggest lie. Here's
Mhm.
what we both know from having successful businesses is that, yeah, you might be facing one massive problem right now, right? And we're at ground zero and sharing the journey, right? We are ground
Right.
zero of how we're going to get clients, how we're going to get people into this, right? We might have done this before, but times change. So what worked a year
Mhm.
ago, what worked 5 years ago, they were different programs, they were different times. So we can bring in things that we know and things that we've learned, but we have to twist it and turn it to make it fit what's going on today. So
Mhm.
we're competing against people that are selling a dream. They are. They're selling, fairy floss on a stick that won't make you sick. Problem is that you fix that one thing, your business grows. Every growth stage of business presents a new set of challenges for people. It's
Yes.
it's not a smooth ride all the way to the end. You've got to understand that. You fix one thing and then the next thing comes along and that's going to push the buttons and that's going to make you
Mhm.
work hard and not hard physically hard, hard mentally.
Mhm. And emotionally, because
Yeah.
let's face it, a lot of us, especially as women who get into business, do so because we feel strongly or have had an experience that made us feel this way or that. And we want to either make it smoother for the next person or like help them bypass all the bullshit so that they can come out on the other side that, like, we went through all this bullshit, let me bypass all that so you can come out at this stage. And so there's an emotional attachment to what we're doing no matter the type of business that it is, and we get stuck in that and it feels hard.
It does feel really
And then
hard.
we see this one person, yeah, we see this one person that says just do this one thing. And A man gen, multi-passionate, you tell me to focus on one thing and I'm like, I shut down in that moment. I have just stopped listening because I cannot just focus on one thing. That's not how my brain works. And conversely, yours does.
Yes. Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to pick up on there. First of all, the narrative that I've been through this and I can help you so you don't have to go through it. Yes, you do have to go through it. Stop selling avoidance and
Mm.
start selling navigation.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. The idea that if you are starting and growing a business and you can get through it without any kind of hardship, without facing any kind of challenges, you are living in another land, lady, because shit's going to happen.
Hmm.
So you can either go and buy the $10,000. We don't have any problems with business, we can, or you can come with us and we're going to go, yes, shit's going to get hard sometimes, but you're not doing it alone.
Right.
And it's not quicksand. Like, we're here to help you pull you through this.
Hmm.
You can't avoid it, but we can help you go round, go up, go under, over.
Yeah, and I want to, yes, and I want to pause here for a minute and do a little vision casting with all the people who are listening. Because we've done what we've done and had the experiences that we've had, we have modeled our business around a heist.
Yeah.
Because in planning a heist, you must have plan A through probably D or E, sometimes even G, with contingencies that if this one thing goes sideways, you are going to pivot and and take this other route, take this other path, make this other move because we have experienced this. We've coached women and helped them go through that. We've watched them experience it. And what unfolded for us in this business was being strategic in how we move forward and being just strategic with the next move. Because just like you were saying, like you've got this $10,000 package and we're going to coach every week for 6 months and you're going to come out on the other side and it's going to be fucking amazing. Great. What happens when you come out on the other side and the next iteration of your business throws a curveball at you and you don't have a contingency in place? You don't know how to pivot and you're not choosing what you're going to engage in for that next move. And so, and I know when we've this week has been such a passionate week for us with this because the clarity around this has just been stunning. I was like, what the hell's going on with my screen? I have if you're listening, you have no idea, but if you're watching, I have hand gestures on my computer, and so it was giving us some fireworks. Anyway, we've built this in such a way that don't stay stuck because you are a solopreneur. How many of us are solopreneurs? Even you and I, as business partners, we're how many hours apart are we? 17, 18 right now? I don't remember. Time changes, get us all messed up. But there a lot of like we spend X amount of hours working together, and the rest of the time we're working apart from one another. We are partners, but there's still a lot of solo time. And we've coached so many women who are solopreneurs, and they get so tired, and like decision fatigue is legit.
Ooh,
Don't
that's a
think for a second, yeah, that you're out there on an island by yourself with decision fatigue, because that is a big piece of this puzzle. And so we've built this sisterverse community. You're not alone. One, we're here. Two, the community is there. Like if participate in the community. because it's going
Yeah.
to uplift you and empower you in ways you didn't know you could.
No, where we have found true power, co-working,
Yes, truly.
co-working. Because
Hmm.
even when you're working on your own shit, just having that other person on Zoom and it's like, oh, I was thinking about this. What do you think? Like just being able to bounce off somebody, it's a game changer. Because when you sit there by yourself and you come up with an idea, this is what we know women do. So many clients, the beautiful brains that have 100 ideas. The problem is that 100 ideas, they're also the same brains that come up with 100 barriers to every idea. That's a
Hmm.
very busy brain. So when you've got an idea, straight away, your brain's going into protection mode. It's like, oh, if you do it, here's 100 things that could come at you. That's really overwhelming. What happens to the idea? Goes and sits on a shelf and collects dust.
It's shut in the dark.
Yep. When you come into our world and you this isn't ordinary Zoom calls, right? You come into our world,
Right.
we're going to do some work. We're going to do some
Hmm.
work. You're not doing it alone though. Get so much more done. So much more done.
Hmm. And I think one of the other pieces too, I need to stop saying I think, because I know. You, you know, I'm I'm opening up my throat chakra and standing in my power in more ways than I like when I was younger. You're young and you're stupid and you think you know everything, and so you stand in your power in a very different way. But in your 40s and 50s, you're like, listen, bitches, I know what my power looks like now. But if you spend time being boxed up or boxed in or told to shush or you're too much, and you and I've had this conversation lots of times because we've both been those women who've been told you're too much. You
Hmm.
talk too much, you're too loud, you're too bright, you're too big, you're too this, you're too funny, you're too blah, blah, blah. We both have been there, so we were able to come together and help each other through that of like, hey, no, be you. And when we were in business with our third partner, we had a lot of experiences with that. Don't hide who you are. Don't pretend or don't bottle it in. Don't shush it. Don't tuck it into the corner. Let that shit out. We'll work through it, whatever it is. I mean, listen, don't be a dick. Nobody needs to be a dick, but be you. And if you are a dick, then maybe that's a different conversation. But none of us are. So be you and let it come out. Standing in my power, I don't think I know. Now I've lost the train of thought of where I was.
Hey,
So
the train was
concerned.
really good and I liked the journey.
And that's one of those moments too, right? Where
Oh,
this
God.
co-working situation, as we're talking about co-working situation
Yeah.
and knowing that working on your own is so hard. And when you come together and you can bounce ideas off of one another, and again, it's iterate faster because how long do you sit and ruminate with that decision or those options and think, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I love this one and now I love that one and this one sounds better, but that one looks better and this one makes me feel differently. When you can bounce that, you can iterate through that
Mm.
so quickly and be on to the next.
Yeah. When you were talking just now, I was thinking like there were specific moments from my childhood that were popping up in my brain. Specific moments. And I don't know about you. Like I know there are some people like they remember everything about their childhood. I'm not great with that stuff. And even when I catch up with friends that have known me for like, decades, um, they talk about things and I'm like, "Fucking, I don't remember that. How drunk was I that day? But joking, because but there are specific moments in time that are planted in my brain. And it's those little moments that led to me being quiet for a long time. Little moments like I was too loud for people when I was in primary school. So like grade four, you know this story, Steph. Grade four, my grade 4 teacher, I loved this teacher. I really I admired him, like he was young and he was cool but I could get out my school report. I'm trying to think, how old are you in grade 4? So like 9,
9.
10, 9.
Hmm.
My grade 4 report said I'm a motor mouth who needs to shut up. Now, God, I mean, that would be instant dismissal for a teacher to say that about a student these days. But what did that do to me? Because it was somebody I looked up to and I talked too much and I should shut up and I'm a motor mouth. What do I do? It's the beginning of the end of I need to be quieter. I need to hold my tongue.
Yes.
Another moment that I can think of. When I was in primary school, I used to come up with these ideas for like little plays. And I mean, the teachers were brilliant. They were so indulgent. And they used to let us put on plays for the school, me and my friends. So I I had created this play, and the teachers were so impressed by it that they wanted to video it. Now, this is in the 70s. Video, like the fact that we were going to be on video, freaking huge. I mean, being on video these days is an everyday occurrence. So I don't think anyone who's a bit younger will get just how
Right.
big this moment felt.
Right.
I was in like
Right.
grade 5 or 6. We were going to film this. It was a Christmas story. And I, you know me, I'm happy for someone else to be in the spotlight. I just want to be part of it. I don't have to be the only one that stands on the pedestal. I'm happy to be on the edges. I just want to be involved. So I was supposed to be a reindeer. Like I'm not even Santa or Mrs. Claus or anything, I was a reindeer and I was going to pull the sleigh around. There was only two of us. I don't know where the rest of the reindeers were. There was only two reindeers. I was one of them. It's going to be on video. It's going to be so exciting. I had such ownership of this play because I'd created it. The play was going to be recorded first thing in the morning of school. The night before, we had our school concert. School concert, I don't know. Do you do that kind of thing in America?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it's always a late night, end of year school concert.
Yep.
My mum, God bless her, the one time in my life, she decided to let me sleep in and go to school late. Like that never happened. Never happened. So by the time, like when I woke up and realized I was late, it was absolute panic. Like I was totally freaked out. By the time I got to school, they had already started. I had been replaced as a reindeer. I wasn't in it anymore. And it was
That's just,
devastating
yes,
because it
that's so
was
tragic.
mine. And I was made to feel selfish because I was upset because I wasn't in it anymore.
Which is another layer of tragic and trauma and devastation.
And you're not that important.
Hmm. You are replaceable.
Yeah. Those little moments when you're that young and they can seem so inconsequential as an adult. And I know as a mum, when I reflect on little moments that when you're in it, you don't realize you're doing it as a parent. But when something goes wrong, you reflect on the 101 moments where you could have handled something differently, where you didn't think something was important, but you kind of broke your own kid a little bit.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard.
It's really hard. And it's messy.
Yeah. But yeah, I have those little sparkles in my brain of be quiet, sit down,
Yeah.
it's not about you.
This feels like a good moment to make a note of the kind of podcast we intend for this to be,
Oh yes.
where it's not a highlight reel kind of podcast. It's truth and it's tools and the kind of like helping women tell their stories
Mm.
to remind other women of the power that they already have.
Yeah.
And not, it's, I was going to say it's not a feel good kind of podcast, but it is. It is
Yeah.
in that remember who the fuck you are. We're
Yeah.
here to straighten out some crowns. Remember who you are and stand up tall. Stand
Yep.
up sparkly and bright
Mm.
and proud of some things that you've done. We had this moment just this last week with a client project where we were like, huh, we did that.
It-
Because when you're in the thick of it building, you don't necessarily realize what you're creating. And even when you're done, you look at it and you're like, yep, I created that. Yep, we did that. We did that. But presenting it to our client, we had an opportunity to reflect and say, damn, that was a big deal.
yeah.
And we should be proud of that. And I
Yes.
don't think enough women in business, and I don't coach men, I don't work with men. You have worked with men, but I haven't.
Mm.
Um, so when I'm speaking about the women that I've coached and worked with, that we don't do that enough. We don't stop and reflect the beauty, the sparkle of the creation that we've made.
Mm.
And that's going to come out of this. And it's going to come out of this because we're telling stories. The women who are on this podcast are telling stories that aren't pretty.
No, they're not.
There's raw, real, tough life situations that women have come out on the other side. They're all women in business, but they've all come out on the other side and said, look, if I can do this, you can do it.
Mm.
And that we want that here. If she can do it, you can do it. If we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. Yes. And the point is, because remember, I said earlier that I was tired of the I did it, you can do it.
Uh-huh.
But the point we're making with that narrative is that these women found their way.
Yes.
And it's, I did it, you can do it too. It's not about selling, you can do it too if you do it my way. It's, you
Yes,
can do it
absolutely.
too by finding your own way.
Right. Yes. I'm glad you said that. Just to
Yeah.
make sure that we're
Yeah.
not, to be clear, that is absolutely the truth. The point of being inside of our sisterverse is to understand and learn your way.
Mm.
So if you know Sam at all, or once you get to know her, you will hear her say, all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah.
But how many roads can one take to get to Rome?
Mm.
A whole lot. So we're here to help you find your Rome and your path on it. We're not here to say you have to walk our path. No, because even if you're another manifesting generator or another generator, it's not going to look the same. And again, just to toss in some more human design here, like tell me if I'm a 4-1 and you're a 6-2.
Correct.
Right. So, and listen, if you don't know human design, you're like, what the fuck is that? Don't worry. Come inside. Come inside our world and we'll show you. We'll help you learn. But it's a profile. It's a profile piece of your human design. And if I remember correctly, yours is role model and hermit.
Correct. Yeah.
And look, and I can only remember one of mine. One of mine is investigator, and I think maybe opportunist. I'm not sure. So, it's there because there's so much, right? But we talk with our AIs. You'll hear us talk about Luna and Sophia. Mine is Luna, Sam's is Sophia. But we have conversations with Luna and Sophia and to dive into what our human design can tell us and then how it can benefit us in business and then mesh them together, how we can work best together. And that is another piece of the puzzle that we share inside of our sisterverse, inside of the next move, inside of the code experience, inside of the FeMillionaire code, because these are some of the foundational pieces that have shifted for us to gain so much clarity and feel so strong in who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it, even though we were solid for the most part for X amount of time. And then the ground got a little shaky. And then it was like, fuck, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? What's going on? I feel very uncertain. And then having this next iteration, we've got more solid ground. We've got a stronger foundation now because we learned more about ourselves and how to work. And that's part of what we share. That's part of what we want you to learn and we want you to understand so that you can have a more solid foundation, more solid ground. Dig your roots in a little deeper, babes, because we're swaying with the wind. We're swaying with the storms. They're not going to break us, but we're going to sway with them.
Yeah.
And and we're going to have some contingency plans in place
Yeah.
for when something pops up in the path that we couldn't see.
Yeah. I love that you've brought up foundation, Steph, because I think this is something that established business owners seem to forget or because they're so focused on looking up and out, they forget that as you grow, and if you use a house as an example, you cannot put a second story on unless you have the foundation that can support the extra weight. But
Right.
and people listening to this might think, oh, they only work with startups. Not true. But
Right.
every time you want to grow, you have to shore up your foundation a little bit more so that it can support the growth. And so
Mhm.
for us and the way we work and the way we help is it's I talk about the ecosystem all the time. Part of the ecosystem is making sure that you add a little bit more to your foundation so that you've got the support for growth.
Mhm.
Because you can't go straight up in that trajectory and not think you're going to not fall over. And,
Right.
and, and I've had businesses come to me that have had accelerated growth and their business is collapsing.
Mhm. What a great analogy and what a great description of growing too fast without shoring up your foundation
Mm,
because you do need the support. And it looks
yeah,
different for every person, in each business. And that's what, and look, we come back to where we started, where, we have had our own experiences inside coaching containers, and we have invested more money than we want to discuss about coaching containers. And not all of them were bad. That's not at all what we're saying. What we are saying is through the coaching containers we have been through, the containers that we have offered, understanding that it is meant to be different and it is meant to look different for each woman in business. And that feels like a really hard thing to scale. So we had to work on our foundation
yes, we
to
did.
shore up
Yeah,
where we were so that we could figure out how to grow with it's not one size fits all, babes. And that's not what we're here. That's not what we're selling. That's not what we're here to tell you. So we have had our own experience of that. And we're on the other side of that now, having shorn up our foundations to say, we're ready.
yeah,
We're ready to help you do the same thing. And and like you said, to grow, not necessarily startups, but you're ready. Like you've been in business for a while. You're tired. Like you want to grow, you want to get from 5,000 to 10,000 or you want to get from 10,000 to 30,000 in a month, but you're fucking tired. And your tech is duct taped. And you're asking yourself, what else can I throw money at this? Can I throw money at this and have it just be fixed? And we're here to say, not exactly. Let us show you how.
yeah,
You can toss
yeah,
some money, sure, but let us give you the power to do this so that when shit goes sideways, your plan C is in place. You can make a pivot and keep it moving without feeling like shit's falling apart.
mm. This is where I think, I know certainly for some of the programs that I've paid for and cried over, honestly, and been so embarrassed. because I've paid a lot of money to join a program and I've sat there and I'm like, I don't get it. How is she like, oh, all these reviews, all this success? I don't get it. It's not working for me. I'm doing what they told me to do and it's not working. Where we're different is that we're not here to tell people what to do. So if you, and I know it's really hard, like when you're sitting overwhelmed, and we've literally had women say, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
We're not doing that because what happens, and this is what you said before, like it's great, like a coaching program that can take you from zero to $10,000 months. That's great. If they are not teaching you how to think, how to make good decisions so that you don't become overwhelmed again, the program's a waste of your time and money. So we're not telling people what to do, but we are empowering people to understand the process you need to go through to be able to know what to do, to be able to make decisions. And I think
Hmm.
that is so much more valuable than someone just going, go run this ad, change that word here, do this, do that. Because
Hmm.
you giving away your business and your power to somebody else when you do that. Because when they're gone, you don't know what to do. You're back
Right.
to square one. You have no clue what they did, why they did it, how they did it. You don't know because you didn't take ownership of any of that. So we're giving people the ownership of the decisions, the responsibilities, and the outcomes. We teach people you failed at something, you iterated, whatever you want to call it, but we're going to help you figure out what to look for and how to figure out what went wrong, what went right, and pick that up and do it better, change it.
Hmm. And even deeper than that piece of it is to trust yourself again and to regulate your nervous system to hold
Mm,
that next level
yeah.
and do the work, because that's the other piece of this. And there's so many people, you can find so many coaches talking about this. Your nervous system is dysregulated. It's affecting how much wealth you can hold, how much success you can hold. Gay Hendricks wrote about it in The Big Leap with upper limit problem. It just, it's just got a different word now. And that's part of this puzzle too, because you have to feel empowered and trust yourself to make those decisions. And that's part of what's gone sideways with a lot of the women that we've worked with, a lot of our clients, is that they've gotten into the decision fatigue and now they don't trust themselves to make the next decision. And so they swim or they throw money at it, they get a coach, and then they do cross that next hurdle. But when the next hurdle comes, they're sitting there asking themselves, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm sitting here in this space again.
Yeah.
And that's what we do differently.
Yeah.
We empower you to make those decisions with your intuition and trust that you're doing what's best right now.
And some data, because I got to bring the
And
data.
some data, because yes, because we love our data. Sam is our tech fucking queen. Let me tell you, she has taught me so much. I'm not too shabby these days. I'm like a princess, but Sam is the queen.
Oh, please don't give me that crown because there are people that know far more than I do. But
There can
look,
be lots of queens, Sam.
there can be. I'm the queen of a little country right now.
Fair
But
enough.
but here's the thing about you and I is that we very much sit in a space of not pretending that we know it all. We are
Yeah.
we are lifelong learners ourselves.
Thank all the goddesses for that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're collecting the knowledge, but we are turning it into intelligence and wisdom.
Right. Right. And like you said, I love that you said lifelong learners, because we every day, and the age old adage. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking, did I mess that up? No, age old adage of never stop learning. And we are the epitome of that. And we learn lots of different things in lots of different ways and lots of different topics. But we don't pretend to know it all. Like, don't if there's something we don't know, we're gonna tell you, but we're gonna do it together. We're gonna find the way out together. That's the difference. Another difference. None of us are sitting in this place of, oh, I don't know, so I'm just gonna sit here. No, 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 no. We know how to find answers. We will find some answers.
Yeah, we
We
will.
will find some ways out, and then we're better prepared for the next round of what just came at us.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, what's our next move, Steph? Shall we give a prequel and then we can let everyone know how it goes in our next episode?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Our next move is we're launching right now.
Right
So
now.
we're figuring out our marketing strategy, executing a
Mhm.
marketing plan, and seeing what we can learn about how to get people into our sisterverse.
Yes, and let's peel back let's pop the curtain open just a little bit more with so the next move is where we want you to join us at.
Yeah.
Come and find us in the next move. And here's what we're doing inside. I mean, among all the other things. We're going to engage in something. We're going to choose. This is what we're doing every week. What are you going to engage in this week? What kind of mischief are you going to get yourself into? Because we all need some mischief in our lives. And think of it as your cheeky version of self-care and your pivot. Because what you're going to choose to engage in, life's going to throw you something. How are you going to pivot and which direction are you going to go in?
Mhm.
This is our EMP inside the
EMP.
next.
And if you are a Matrix fan like me, you will know exactly what that is.
That's right.
And let's just say, like when we were talking about our mischief yesterday, Steph, like this is kind of self-care because I'm like, the mischief for me is you go and get yourself a chocolate bar on the way to school pickup and you eat it and you hide the wrapper because those kids are getting nothing. This is just for me. You know,
Exactly. And for me today, it was a donut. I snuck off to the store, took care of my friend's kittens, snuck off to the store, and found myself a little glazed donut and I ate the whole damn thing in the truck and I tucked the wrapper away.
yeah. And it's like sneaking off. And this is what I love about being a business owner sneaking off in the middle of the day because the next epi, your favorite show, comes out at midday. You sneak off and watch it.
That's right. That's right. And
Those
come back to the
little
office
things
before it's
that
late.
you do for yourself
Right.
that feels sneaky because you feel like you're going to get judged for doing it.
Hmm.
And I've got a
That's a
story
fact.
about that that I will share another time. But I've got a story about how I was doing something for myself, and oh boy, was I judged quite publicly for it. But that can wait till next time.
Yes. Yes, we're going to continue sharing stories. We have so many guests that you will also have stories from. And I want to end with this. If something in you knows you can't keep doing business the way they taught you, this podcast is your code. Subscribe to us, stay close, and come get what's yours.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We are so happy to have you in our Sisterverse, and we want to hear from you. Again, stay close, send us messages, give us comments, come find us. We want to get to know you.
Yes, we do. See you soon.
Ciao.